welcome back to Life on the Franch. Sorry in advance that my hair is wet slash drying. I just showered. I usually wait for my hair to dry, but we're trying to film as many videos as possible before we leave for vacation, so that there's not that much of a gap in content, because I'm trying to be, this is me trying to be professional, but clearly wet hair mess is the limits to what I'm capable of. That being said, one thing I am good at and interested in is research. So, for Valentine's Day, I had made a video on the origins of Valentine's Day because I like looked it up out of my own curiosity and discovered that everything I thought I knew about Valentine's Day was wrong, and I just thought it was a fascinating mythology. So if you want to check that out, I'll link it at the end. But I thought, let's not make any assumptions. Let's take a deep dive into what St. Patrick's Day is, where it comes from, why we celebrate it the way we do. And so I did that, and there are so many things that we do wrong. It's really fascinating how holidays kind of evolve, from what they started as to what they become, and how different, cultures adopt those holidays. So for full disclosure, I am from the U.S. I'm not Irish at all, but I am Catholic, and so, I like growing up in the U.S., it is impossible to like kind of not celebrate St. Patrick's Day, at least like wearing green, like when you're in elementary school, so you don't get like pinched, that kind of stuff, and like all the green food. It just is a phenomenon that happens, and I kind of always just was like, yeah, okay, it's like Catholic-ish, it's St. Patrick, okay, it's like a kind of, taken from that somehow, and now is a celebration of Irish culture, for everyone. So, but okay, so going to with this green thing, fun fact, the original color associated with St. Patrick's Day isn't green, it's blue. What? That's wild. Like, all of the pinching that could have happened. I think I wore jeans most of the time, so at least I had blue on, but wild. But before we get into some of the things that we do wrong and things that have changed over time, let's talk about St. Patrick himself. So the reason we celebrate St. Patrick's Day on March 17th is that is considered the date of death for St. Patrick. St. Patrick was a slave from like Roman Britain. He was like sold into slavery and brought to Ireland at 16 as a slave. He later escaped slavery, and then later like escaped, fled, then came back to Ireland, and is credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland. Some sources, like Britannica, and I will link all these sources down below, say that he built churches and monasteries, and kind of became, the conduit for Christianity into Ireland. He also has a couple different myths, legends built around him. So the Shamrock is one of them. So he's thought to have explained the Holy Trinity, which is a Catholic belief in like the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, as 3 in 1 and 1 in 3, using the shamrock, a common plant in Ireland, to the Irish. So that's where we get the shamrock from. So at least the shamrock kind of makes sense with St. Patrick's Day. He was alive in the 5th century BC. So that gives you a time frame for when this all happened. So he became the patron saint of Ireland, and he still is the patron saint of Ireland. It was a religious holiday, and so up until 1995 in Ireland, pubs had to be closed on St. Patrick's Day because it's a religious holiday. So you would go to Mass in the morning, and then you would have sort of like a feast of like Irish meal in the evening, and that's how it was celebrated. And people would dance and drink and feast on the traditional meal of Irish bacon and cabbage. But as I said, the pubs would not be open, so this would all be happening, outside of the pubs because it was meant to be preserved as a religious tradition. And if you compare that to how long we have been celebrating St. Patrick's Day as a day of like drunken festivities in the United States, with the parades going back all the way, like the big parade in Boston going back to the 1700s, that's a pretty big discrepancy between how the US celebrates St. Patrick's Day and Ireland. And they only opened the pubs in 1995 in Ireland because they wanted to use the interest in St. Patrick's Day to drive tourism to Ireland. So let's talk about the history of the US celebrations of St. Patrick's Day, how they started and how they came to be the, pub crawl, parades, festivities and festivals that we see today. So the original Irish immigrants into America were mostly Protestant. It wasn't until the potato famine that poor Irish Catholics started flooding into the United States. And they faced a lot of discrimination because of their unfamiliar accents and their alien religious beliefs. America at the time was incredibly Protestant, and Protestant was the religion taught in schools. Obviously, other religions did exist, but Catholicism was seen as very different, very distinct. However, the American Irish soon began to realize that their growing numbers endowed them with political power that had yet to be exploited. So they started to organize and became a voting bloc known as the Green Machine. And they became an important swing vote for political hopefuls. And suddenly, St. Patrick's Day parades not only were a show of their heritage and their pride and their Irishness, but also a must-attend event for political candidates. So, for example, in 1948, President Harry S. Truman attended New York City's St. Patrick's Day Parade. So, as much support as St. Patrick's Day parades have come to be today and to be celebrated by people from all different backgrounds, St. Patrick's Day may have its link to drinking and pub crawls and debauchery because of stereotypes from the initial St. Patrick's Day parades in the United States. So when Irish Americans in the country's cities took to the streets on St. Patrick's Day to celebrate their heritage, again, back in the 1700s, 1800s, newspapers portrayed them in cartoons as drunk, violent monkeys. And it's a little ironic that today, St. Patrick's Day is basically celebrated in the United States as one giant pub crawl when its origin is a religious holiday, and in Ireland it was a religious holiday where pubs were closed up until the 90s. And as a final kind of weird, misunderstanding of St. Patrick's Day, leprechauns really don't have anything to do with St. Patrick's Day. Um, so the so belief in leprechauns probably stems from Celtic beliefs in fairies, tiny men and women who could use their magical powers to serve good or evil. And in Celtic folk tales, leprechauns were cranky souls responsible for mending the shoes of other fairies. Which I think is funny that they have their own name. Basically, it's a job title. But they were known for their trickery and often used to protect their much fabled treasure. So, some of that makes sense. They're small, the treasure thing. Okay, what's the miscommunication? Well, leprechauns actually have their own holiday on May 13th, but, are now celebrated also on St. Patrick's Day. We've just combined the two. And I just find it really fascinating, again, the way that these holidays have morphed and the mythos of these holidays and how they've changed. And this isn't like to say you shouldn't go out and celebrate St. Patrick's Day and you shouldn't wear green and you shouldn't whatever you want to do on St. Patrick's Day. That's not what this video is about. I just find the history of these holidays really fascinating. So if you liked this video and you found it informative, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of our content, click subscribe, ding the bell button to know when we post. And most importantly, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!